got these events up here and these, but I don't see them mixing. Sometimes it's worthwhile to laminate them. Both Phil K. Dick and Raymond Chandler often did that. They'd take two of their old stories, which were not evidently connected at all, and they would just say, they're connected. Let's just iron them together and make them link up. And often that'll get you some surprising, like, random help. But sometimes it will happen where you've got some clever ideas and you just think, no, that one, there's no room for it. Now, what I do is I actually write down on index cards every bit of stuff I've got. Each card has a bit of dialogue or an event. George shoots Sam. George calls the police and confesses. That's another index card. George realizes he should not have called the police and confessed. That's another index card. If I happen to think up a brilliant bit of description, I'll make an index card for it. Eventually, I've got a whole lot of these index cards, one for each of these little bits. And I lay them out on the floor with, future, past. And I'll think, okay, would this, be better before or after this event? And I move them around, and I'm kind of looking at the shape of the story, really. And I'm thinking, do we have too many cards here? Is there not enough stuff over there? And I'll rearrange it for as long as I can convince myself that I'm plausibly doing work. One time I was doing this, and our whole living room was filled with these cards, and our 300-pound landlord came stomping through, and the cards flew everywhere. And after he left, I looked at him and thought, maybe he helped. I don't recall that he did, but it was worth a thought. Anyway, when I've got them where I like them, I actually I make a giant calendar. Right, pretend this is 7 across and many tall. And in each square of the calendar, I write down events for that day. Okay, that's, and eventually I've got this very big calendar, and it'll be on a piece of paper, but it'll be this big. And I tack it up on my wall. I'm still busy, apparently, but I haven't actually had to do any work yet. At this point, I can look at the whole story and say, okay, where do you want the story to start? I might have to start here and just refer back to this stuff. And I might have the story end here and, just imply the rest. If I want to really postpone work, I might actually highlight the bits that I'll show on stage and leave unhighlighted the things the reader won't see. It will simply be referred to off stage. At this point, I'm getting close to being ready to start. See, I want to eliminate all decisions. It's always sort of a superstitious goal of mine that if I outline really thoroughly, the outline might in patches begin to turn into a finished book, and then I never have to actually formally start. Now, you might be thinking, well, all this, it's fine if it works for Powers, but it strikes me as cripplingly mechanical and eliminating all the, not only all the fun of writing, but all the inputs where the good stuff would come from. Powers' system would simply eliminate all the spontaneity and stuff that would make a good story. Maybe so, that's true of a lot of writers. But even if that's your situation, even if you do, like Philip K. Dick, Karen Joy Fowler, Niven and Cornell, even if you do work better unplanned, or not nearly as idiotically, obsessively planned as what I'm describing, outline behind yourself. You might not want to know for your own, the way you best work. You might not want to know what is in front of you. But outline what's behind you. Go ahead and be very spontaneous and surprise yourself with what you write. But keep a calendar of what you've written. Because even though it's only a sort of chart of stuff you've already done, it'll show you the shape of the story you've written so far. You'll be able to see more explicitly where you've built up escalations, where you've built up depths, where you've kind of promised the reader that you will deliver some kind of culmination, some kind of, justice being meted out or something. Also, just mechanically, it'll be handy because if you write down to here and you say, well, I haven't seen her in how many days? I don't know. If you haven't kept this sort of calendar, you don't know. But if you've done this behind yourself, you can say, let's see, 50 days since you saw her. Anyway, I like, at this point, still putting off work, I like to try to draw two lines in the midst of this. One divides Act 1 from Act 2. The other divides Act 2 from Act 3. Of course, in the story, I'll never indicate this. I'll never have some sort of person come out to say that we've now entered Act 3. But if I know that, if I'm aware of that division into three pieces, with, the enigmas and the puzzles and the intriguing connections here, the escalations and the reminders and the, shoring up of the implications up to here, and then finally the, payoffs, explanations, comeuppances. If I'm aware of those boundaries between acts, it'll more economically work for those functions. Anyway, at this point, really, I remember the most recent time I was at this point with a novel line that was published in August. I get to this point and I think the hard part is now done. All that remains is writing the book.